The categories are $10, $100, $500, and $1,000. We're going to tell you what we would buy in the month of January in the year 2022.
There's nothing left to say. You know what's going to happen. Future. Highest level of gratitude to our patrons who power the channel through Patreon. Check out the Patreon link in the description to learn about monthly giveaways, VIP Discord access, and even our official playmat. Hello and welcome to The Day.
Thank you for spending your time with us.
I'm Jake.
I'm Joel. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. We are going through what we would buy in January 2022. Nothing that you hear in this video is financial advice. This is just a bunch of goofs. Bunch of laughs. We're having a good time.
This is like if I had money burning a hole in my pocket and I had to spend it on MTG right now. That's essentially what this video is. That's like my vibe here. We're
going to cover it at 10, 100, 500, and 1,000. We listened to a lot of the comments on the first video in this series, and we've added a category for some of you fools to know what we would buy for $1,000. But what I need you to do is by the end of it, tell me in the comments what you would be buying at each of these levels. And while you're down there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, all the YouTube stuff.
That's a great way to support the channel, and another good way to do it is head on over to Patreon. Get involved at any level. It might be a good fit for you. There is stuff to do. Joel, are you ready to tell us what you would buy at $10?
Absolutely. I'll kick us off. Jake, at $10, I need everyone to listen to me. Just get yourself a copy of Mystic Remora. This card is $10. This card is sick. I'm including this one specifically because I have an anecdote. 3 weeks ago, I was playing a game of Commander. I had to mull. Then I had to mull again.
Finish him.
Then I had to mull again.
Harakiri.
I'm the kind of person where if that's the route we're going, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to be like, I just go back up to 7. We're just going to take the mulls. I mulled down to like 4 or 5 cards in Commander, but I had a turn 1 Mystic Remora when I got down there. I had like 2 lands, Mystic Remora, and a card or 2 else. Didn't care. I ended up coming back and winning that game based on the sheer velocity that Mystic Remora provided me. And I went, I've got to cover this card in a video. I know everybody knows it's good. I know it's been talked about at great length, but that is what I would recommend buying at the $10 level for the month of January. Just go ahead and get yourself a copy of the fish.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's a common. And I just remember like years ago, Biff turned me onto the card and I was like, what for 1 mana?
Yep.
It's just brutal. And that cumulative, you don't even care about it. All right, let me talk about my $10. And I went with something a little bit newer, and it's not the only thing I'm talking about from the set. But from Modern Horizons 2, I went with Dauthi Voidwalker. And the reason I did go with Dauthi Voidwalker is because even though I'm seeing, market prices around that $12 to $13 range, I'm still seeing eBay prices sub 10. And so for $10, I would grab this card. And the reason is because not only is it very good in Commander, being able to exile cards and then play stuff after you exile them, but this card is popping up as a 4 of in a lot of modern lists, a lot of green-black lists and stuff like that. So when you have a card that not only is Commander playable, but is also getting played in other formats and is needed as like a 4 of, it seems like a good time to jump on that. Obviously, we cover mostly Commander content here. So if you don't have a copy of Dauthi Voidwalker, it did get like multiple different kinds of versions printed in Modern Horizons 2. But one thing is we're seeing the needle move on Modern Horizons 2. And as that product gets more expensive, as these copies get soaked up, we just got 3 different versions of Dauthi Voidwalker. Are we really expecting a reprint anytime soon? Is kind of the way I feel about it. While I'm talking about Modern Horizons 2, why don't we go ahead and talk about that $100 level? My conviction for this play is strong. I would say for $100, you can get Scalding Tarn, which I see at 29s, Misty Rainforest at 27, Verdant hanging out right around like that $22 range, and then Marsh Flats and Arid Mesa both sub 20. That seems like a really good play. And again, that's for players that either need 4 of copies of that for different formats, or if you're a commander player, you don't have your fetch lands, the window of opportunity has not passed you.
Not at all. We're seeing some really good prices on those still. And Jake, I'm not going to be covering fetches at my $100 level, but I will say I've got fetches on my list somewhere in here. So we were attuned on that one, that is still an excellent pickup. At my $100 level, yes. I'm going to go a little under $100 because I think that if you can get a copy of Commander Collection Black from $60 to $75, that's an excellent pickup right now, especially if you don't have any of the cards in it and it'll all be your first copies of it outside of like Sol Ring and Command Tower, obviously. I do like that purchase between $60 and $75. With the rest of the budget, I would pick up Mystic Remoras or some of the fetches like you talked about, Jake, but at that, I would mostly be trying to obtain that while it's early, maybe a second copy if I want to go a little over the $100, put one on the shelf and have one to play with, have one to play with some of them, sell singles out of them. But that's what I would do at $100 this month.
Yeah, and a lot of the time when we're talking about prices on here, obviously none of this is financial advice, but we're trying to point out good entry points on this kind of stuff. Obviously, if we're talking about reserve list and we're talking about sealed product, you're not going to be able to buy like the all-time low on those cards. You're buying, somewhere along the ride up and then thinking it might go higher.
$500. Jake, yes. I want to find a booster draft box of double masters for around 500. I think it's going to end up being a little bit more than 500. A lot of the best, most pristine looking versions that I could find on eBay were around like 520, 540. But I still think Double Masters has so much EV in the box ready to go. You're talking about non-foils, Borderless Force, $200. Mana Crypt, Borderless, $200. The Sword of Feast and Famine, $100. Doubling Season, $100. Regular Force, $100. Borderless Fire and Ice Sword, $100. And then there are 17 other cards that are $50 or more in that box.
And that's just the box topper. And how many box toppers came in these? Were there one or two?
I don't even know exactly. I assumed it was one, but now you're asking me and I'm going double masters. I wonder if there was two.
I'm trying to put it together if there were two. I think there might have just been one box topper. Obviously, let us know in the comments, but each of these packs came with two rares.
Exactly. The EV of this set is still insane. I still think that it's a good pickup at $500. This is a product, however, at that $500, I probably wouldn't be opening this to crack. I'd be opening this to set it on a shelf for another 2 or 3 years. Hope it goes up into the like $700, $800 range for a box and then go from there.
Yeah, and who knows where Magic's going to be when we get, that many years down the road. Are variants still going to be a thing? Is that going to be something that they dial back on? Who knows? I went with sealed product as well for my $500 range. I went and I also did it for the $1,000 as well. There's a couple things that are kind of on the rise. There's some products that are kind of ticking up. And for the $500, you're not going to believe this, but I would go with a Commander Legends Collector booster box, which I'm seeing for around the $475 range. So a little bit lower than $500. You are trying to invest
in some Pringle chips, I see.
Kind of like what you were talking about is it's going to do best if you just buy it and set it on a shelf, right?
100%.
That's the only spot where you can get the extended art Jeweled Lotus foil, the extended art Vampiric Tutor, Mana Drain, and then also the cards that don't Pringle at all. There's a lot of the etched legends in those packs. There's going to be one in every single pack as well. The product is honestly a home run. There's a lot of really good stuff in it other than what you were talking about, which is some of these boxes had cards that came out of them and look pristine, and other ones had cards that come out of them and are just like seriously like Pringles. The only other thing I wanted to say at this tier is I would also do an Ultimate Masters booster box. And the reason is that's around that $430 to $450 ish range, a little bit further back, but those had box toppers that had really powerful cards. We have the Mana Vault box topper, Liliana box topper, and then obviously all of those packs. There's a bunch of uncommons in there that are in the $5 to $10 range as well. I really, really like that product in the $500.
All three of those sets have a good EV for buy and set it on a shelf.
Yeah, and as we get further and further down the line, one thing that we see is that a lot of these big premium products, they continue to go up in price. Is there a bubble? Who knows? Maybe. I haven't seen it yet. All right, now it's time for us to tell you the $1,000 tier. If we had $1,000 and we had to spend it on MTG, what would we spend it on? You might be like, I would spend it on reserve list cards. Well, I'm going to tell you this product has been going up in price. I saw Alpha Investments talking about it, and we've actually talked about this product a lot on the channel, and that is Zendikar Rising collector booster boxes. Each of these boxes come with 2 seeded box toppers. We have some really good cards in here like Cavern of Souls, Ancient Tomb, all 10 fetch lands, Prismatic Vista, there's Wasteland in here. All of these are just in your 2 box toppers possibly. And then what we've seen in each of these boxes is that oftentimes you're going to open between 2 and 4 more of these box toppers. So you could open 6 box toppers in this product. And that's before we even talk about modal dual face cards that we've seen that have really taken EDH by storm. Yeah. The product has some really good stuff in it. And again, being able to pull fetch lands and all of these cards, I would buy 3 of those. These boxes have seen a correction from around the 250 range. Now they're up to like 330s. So you'd be able to get 3 of those for just about $1,000.
Well, audience, the viewing public right now, I got to tell you, Jake and I specifically don't tell each other the picks in advance so that we can surprise each other and ad-lib a little bit. And it's funny, Jake, because you and I are on the exact same wavelength for the $1,000 tier.
What did you pick?
I would take $972 and I would buy 1 each of every Zendikar Rising expedition that there is. I did the math. I took it to TCG Player, dropped the list in there, made sure it was a Zendikar Rising non-foil expedition, and every single one of them shipped $972. That's Cavern of Souls at $100, Ancient Tomb at $60, and then Misty, Scalding, Bloodstained Mire, Flooded Strand, Wooded Hills, all at $50. And then you go down from there. But $972 will guarantee that you have 1 each of those expeditions. And I say throw them in a notebook, double sleeve them, throw them in a notebook, and proxy them for your commander decks. And you've got every land that you pretty much need, right?
Or if you just want to run them, just run them. Take care of them, sleeve them up, have a good time. Yeah, dude, it's really funny that you went with that as well because, Zendikar Rising, there was so much product that was coming out all around that, that it just kind of felt like because we knew that we were going to get fetch lands in Modern Horizons 2, so people were kind of like sleeping on the fetch lands that came out of Zendikar Rising.
Right.
Because it was Zendikar Rising and we knew we were getting expeditions, there was more emphasis put on the expeditions than the actual cards in the set. And so you have stuff like just really good cards in Zendikar Rising that are just now starting to bubble up that people are starting to find. And there's a lot of good stuff in there. Well, we've just talked to you about our January 2022, what we would buy. Again, if we had all that money and it was just setting us on fire, we couldn't spend it fast enough, we had to spend it on MTG, what would you buy?
Let us know down in the comments. Y'all know what we do next is we take your comments and then make a video called What You're Buying. So let us know, either seriously or jokingly, what you would do at the $10, $100, $500, and $1,000 tiers. And that's it for us in January 2022. Hope you're all having a great year so far. Hit like and subscribe. All of the things. Bye-bye.
Bye.